Yo, what's happening, Raider Nation? It's your boy Soto here. You know what it is. Raiders versus the world, talking about the team that the world loves to hate, your Las Vegas Raiders. We're just going to sit back and chill for a little bit. I know it was a last-minute thing, but I had nothing to do, and I was like, you know what? I might as well jump on and talk to the nation for a little bit. Had a pretty nice little weekend start off. I got one more day of the weekend, which is kind of cool. A lot to talk about. We had a signing. We have a sighting. I feel like we're talking about a UFO. We had a signing and a sighting, and we have a little bit of information that might be leaked out that maybe wasn't intentionally leaked out by our GM. That's why I'm not so keen on these higher ups doing a lot of interviews during this time, because just by answering a regular old question, they may just divulge some information. The art of war is to don't say too much, right? Don't say 5 words when 3 words will do, because you could reveal some information. Come on, everybody, go ahead and check in. Who's on right now? Who do we got? We're going to start in a little bit. I just want to make sure we got everyone on. Got a lot of cool stuff to talk about tonight. And I want you guys to drive this ship, okay? We'll talk about what you guys want to talk about, but let's not get silly, okay? We talk about, someone asked about recipes and like my favorite this and that. Like, no one cares about me. We're talking about the Raiders here, all right? Joanna, hello. We have a woman in the chat. She's my number one fan. Well, you know what? I don't have many, so you're number one. You're probably one of a good handful, 3, 4. So thank you. All right. White signing. Let's talk about it. I'm going to have a video that drops tomorrow. I want you guys to still watch it, even though we're going to talk about it. All right, we'll talk about that now. Dominique 5, what's up, baby? How's it going? Derek Briganti, thanks for checking in, man. Check in, y'all. We're going to start in a few minutes. I just want to make sure we get a nice little group of people in here. Come on, let's check in. Just want to let you know, everyone, the super chats are open. The chats themselves are open. Let's try to be cordial this time. And last time we got into a little bit of an argument in the chat room. I was like, wait a second, y'all. That's not what we're here to do. We all have our opinions, and that's fine. Let's not get too silly and go over the top about this stuff. Get a little drink of water, and we'll start. All right. We're going to start with Devin White signing. So, I was a little bit concerned about our linebacking core. We lost 2 starters in Robert Spillane and in Divine Diablo, and we only replaced them with 1 starting level player. That's not to say that some of the guys we have on the team currently can't start, but they just haven't. It makes me a little nervous, because going into the draft, you don't want to go into the draft having to take something, right? You want to go into the draft saying, look, if things fall the way they fall and this falls a little bit funky and we just can't seem to pick a guy at a spot because it's just not right, the value isn't there, we're okay with who we have, even though we would like to have an upgrade. We're okay with who we have. I don't think you could have said that with the linebacking core the way it was. I love Landon Roberts. Landon Roberts is one of the guys that we signed, those big 4 guys that we signed early in free agency. I think it's a great signing, a sneaky, kind of like under the radar signing. It's going to pay really big dividends for the Raiders on their defense. But Tommy Eichenberg really didn't play a lot of snaps. Gaines didn't play a lot of snaps. Amari Burney didn't play a lot of snaps. Or Gainer, excuse me. Amari Gainer and Amari Burney, 2 Amaris. They didn't play a lot of snaps. Maoga, he didn't play a lot of snaps. It's like, okay, I wasn't too sure about the other linebackers. Probably going to play only 2 at a time, which is fine, but I don't want to rely on like Jeremy Chin coming down and being a linebacker, or Isaiah Polomao coming down and dropping down and being a linebacker. I wanted to get another linebacker, and we did that. We signed Devin White. Now, on the surface, Devin White seems like a really good signing. He was one of the better players on the defense for Tampa Bay when they won the Super Bowl in 2020. And he played great in the playoffs. In like the 3-4 games in the playoffs, he had like 38 tackles. He had a couple of picks. He forced a couple of fumbles. He was all over the place. The guy was just, I mean, incredible. And in 2022, he was voted one of the top 100 players in the NFL. I think it was like number 64. But then something happened. He just started to slowly decline. Now, the weird thing is his physical attributes didn't decline. It wasn't like he got hurt and he got slower or he got, these nagging injuries elsewhere on his body. I think it's mostly mental. And it wasn't lost on a lot of people. I don't know if you guys, South Dakota Raider, what's up, baby? I see you. One of the things that you want to take a look at and you need to remember, when you're a football player, okay, you're constantly putting your resume out there every single play. Every single play is your resume. It only takes the wrong person to see the wrong play and you maybe not giving 100% effort, and you no longer get the benefit of the doubt. Because every time after that, let's say, you identified something late and you started running late to a play, you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt that you saw something late. It's going to be like, oh, he's loafing it again, right? Well, there was a play, I believe it was versus the Saints, where the pass was thrown to the sideline and Devin White looked unbothered. He did not look like he wanted to make the play. He didn't look like he wanted to be there. He didn't look like he was interested in running to the ball. Big no-no. Now, to make matters even worse, Devin White was one of the captains of the team. Just remember that. One of the captains should be a leader, a guy that all players should emulate, a guy that players should look up to. Doesn't look good when you have that C on your jersey and you're caught in 4K loafing it. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, a former Bucs player, Warren Sapp, who also played for the Raiders, won a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay, called him out. Put a video on there. I have all this coming out tomorrow. The video is coming out tomorrow. I'm giving you a sneak peek. And you're going to see the video too. Has him go out there, has him just loafing it. Warren Sapp calls him out. Okay. Afterwards, Devin White kind of did a little funky, like, whatever, it's not a big deal. This is what happened, whatever. Well, later, in a later game, he was talking crap on Jameis Winston, who was his former quarterback. Now, there are a lot of players that love Jameis Winston. I don't know that there's too many players in the league that will say that have played with Jameis Winston that have something bad to say about him as a person. It just seemed like Devin White was going a little bit hard on him. The whole marriage with the Bucs just didn't end well. He kind of like, I don't know, I guess what else would you call it? When you like fake an injury, right? When you fake an injury, you're holding in. So you're showing up to camp, but you're saying, oh, I'm hurt, I can't practice. That's faking an injury. I mean, that's kind of what I think it is, right? Well, he did that because he wanted a new contract. Got a new contract for that 1 year. And that was it. That was in 2023. And that was it. That was his last year with the Bucs. And after that, he went to the Eagles in 2024. Now, Devin White was saying he wants to be the first $100 million linebacker and this and that and blah, blah, blah. He signed with the Eagles for 1 year, $4 million. Little short of what he was looking for, or what he said he was looking for. Well, he tweaks an ankle in training camp. Nakobe Dean starts, takes his job. The first 4 games of the season, this is all my video tomorrow. The first 4 games of the season, he doesn't play not one snap. He's hurt game 1. He's a healthy scratch game 2 and 3. Game 4 is actually Eagles versus Tampa Bay, his old team. And he just says, I don't want to play it. And they cut him. All right, see ya. And he doesn't play last year. So look, Steve Oriana, nice shirt. Yeah, man. You like that? So look, Devin White is damaged goods. Okay. I'm not saying that his physical tools are still not there. He's only 27 years old. The guy's still young and he's still in the prime of his career physically. Let's just hope that he matured, right? And he's able to handle the NFL a little bit better now. Because sure didn't seem like he was ready to handle it when he was with Tampa Bay. He was a rookie, he balled out, he won a Super Bowl, and he started drinking his own bathwater, basically. He's like, yeah, man, my shit don't stink. I'm good. I don't have to worry about this. I'm the man. I'm a captain. And, well, he's found out that you can't just be a captain by calling yourself a captain. You have to act like a captain every single play of every single game. That didn't happen. So I do think this can work with the Raiders because he's still supremely gifted athletically, okay? But you can't give him a big role. You can't even promise him a role. Bro, you're going to be on this team if you decide to be on this team. If you want to work hard, if you want to practice hard, if you want to play for your teammates, if you want to be a part of this team, you will. If you don't, you won't. Plain and simple. Don't guarantee him anything. Don't give him any type of leadership role or anything like that. He's just a guy showing up and playing as hard as he can. Expect nothing less from anybody else. Everyone, the line is the same. Show up, respect yourself, respect the team, respect your teammates, work hard, and play hard. That's it. That's all you have to do. That's all we expect. Be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. Do what you're supposed to do when you're there. Really easy. Make it very simple for Devin White. Devin White was really lucky that I think John Spytek was part of the team that drafted him to Tampa Bay, and now he's a GM with the Raiders. So what we're looking here is it's a high risk, high reward. Now, the risk is not a monetary risk, okay? The risk is like, okay, he stinks. Let's get him out of here. We'll just cut him and get whatever, pay him the money that we said we're going to pay him and just go away. Take it and go. For all you Russell Peters fans. But, I mean, it's not a huge risk on our part, and the reward can be massive. If he's able to play like the player he was early, his first couple seasons in the NFL, we have ourselves a top 100 player in the NFL. That's who we have. If he decides to play that way. If not, he's going to go play in the UFL or play somewhere else. He's going to be on a practice squad somewhere and just be a scout team guy. All depends on what he wants to be. He's already made some money. He's won a Super Bowl. If he wants to be good, if he wants to be a leader on a team by his play, he will be. I think he's very good. So I think it's a good signing. I think he's just going to be a rotational guy until he proves he's more than that. What do you think here, guys? What else are we going to talk about today? Dominic 5. Who's your other teams and other sports? I am a Los Angeles Dodgers fan. Basketball, I'm not too keen on. I mean, I like the Lakers, like the Clippers. I mean, it's all right. They're both okay. I'm a USC fan. Go Trojans. Fight on. That's pretty much it. I don't really watch too many sports. Honestly, I watch a lot of football and fights. I watch baseball. I watch Dodgers, but SC. I don't miss any SC home games. So, what else we got here? You guys don't want to talk about Hunter Renfrow? I'm sitting here waiting for someone to say Hunter Renfrow, and no one says Hunter Renfrow. I would have thought that you guys would be clamoring. I've been hearing left and right whenever I say something about a receiver, we should just sign Hunter Renfrow. And then Hunter Renfrow finally shows up and has a visit with the Raiders, and nobody wants to talk about Hunter Renfrow. Steve, looking forward to your breakdown tomorrow. Do you think we should draft linebacker early or late? I think we should draft now that we have more depth, and I'm more concerned with the fact that we have another player that has a lot of starts under his belt. Because of that, I'm okay with waiting a little bit to get the right guy at linebacker. There's a lot of guys we can get a little bit later in the draft that are more of a developmental guys. because I think we have enough on the team right now with Devin White. I think we have enough to have a nice rotation of linebackers. Can always use more linebackers because, they play a lot of special teams, which is good. But with Amari Gaynor, you got Bernie, Devin White, Mauga, and Landon Roberts. It's a nice little. Oh yeah, and Eichenberg. That's six. That's six linebackers already. I mean, I don't think we really need a linebacker, but I mean, if he's there and it's a good one, you might as well take him. Who should we get to help the O line? We talked about this a few times, man. Do you mean Eduardo Vigil? Are you talking about free agency or in the draft? Because there's a couple of guys out there. Because I mean, free agency, there's still a couple of guys out there that I've talked about that I think are going to be pretty good. Go ahead and look at some of those videos. The guys are still available out there. So the thing is in this part of the season right now, in this part of the season, it's not like any of these free agency moves are going to really move the needle as far as what the teams are going to do in the draft. Just because we drafted a linebacker, if we really needed a linebacker, we're going to get one anyway. But Devin White's not going to say, oh, we're set at the position now. That's not going to happen. Even if we sign Hunter Renfrow, it's not going to be like, well, whoa, we don't need to sign anybody else. We don't need to draft anybody on receiver because we got Hunter Renfrow. Like, no, it's not going to work that way. But I have a video that's I'm gonna drop in a few days that I'm just editing right now, and I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of a preview on that. One of the fastest risers right now, just mark my words, write this down, timestamp it, 9:24 p.m., 3:29. Charles Grant from William and Mary is one of the fastest risers, not only in the offensive line, but overall. This dude is just shooting off draft boards because his measurables, his play, how he played against better competition once he got against better competition. Look, William and Mary is not like the freaking stronghold of college football, okay? But that doesn't matter. Once you're in the league, it doesn't matter where you played before. It's about getting there. Well, you look at the combine results, you look at some of the pro day stuff, you look at some of the Senior Bowl stuff. This guy played really, really well. So what's happening right now is the scouts are putting the reason why there's so much movement in like the big board, right? What the big board is basically is where do all the prospects that are looking to be drafted, where do they rank from 1 to 500, regardless of position? Who's the best? Who's the next? Regardless of position, right? Well, when you have a guy like Charles Grant who hasn't played against really good competition, you're really looking to watch him play and practice against really good guys. How does he do? How does he measure? How do those measurements compare to other players in his positions in the past? Okay, you're starting to see all those numbers being crunched. And once you crunch those numbers as far as measurables go, then you go back to the tape and like, how does it translate to the field? Because a guy could be great on paper. He could be great, jump through the roof and he run fast and do all this stuff, but he goes on tape and he disappears on tape. That's no good. Production over potential any day, right? Well, people are starting to figure out that this Charles Grant dude, he's the truth. So he's one of the guys in this draft that's shooting off draft boards. I would be shocked if he's there in the third round. Absolutely flabbergasted. This guy is a second round pick, maybe even a first, depending on what happens with the offensive tackle. This dude's going to be drafted within the first 2 rounds. It's unheard of coming from William and Mary. I'll tell you that right now. Oh, crap, Derek. Yeah, you got it right. It's crazy, man. It's crazy what happens in this draft. There's a couple. What I did was for this video, I'm going to edit and it's going to come out in a couple of days. Basically, I have 4 draft risers and 4 draft fallers that are, and there's some big names on the fallers list. Let me tell you right now, there are some huge names from what I've been hearing and from what I've read, and some people that I really can't talk about, and I really can't tell where I heard this information from. There are 4 huge names. Like if these 4 players went in the first round, I don't think people would have batted an eye. But these names are dropping fast. And there's a big reason why for each name. And I'm not going to tell you who it is. I'm not going to go into it. That's the part you got to tune into the video. Okay. But there's a bunch of them. And there's also 4 risers that are pretty good. And, Derek got it right. Charles Grant is one of them. The fast riser. That's a little taste I'm going to give you guys. All right. Kushmob, what's up, baby? I might have to go with donkeys first and lightning bugs third. Yeah, donkeys and lightning bugs. That'll work. Henry, what's up, baby? Soto for the dub. Hell yeah. Soto Day Night Live. All right, cool. I like that. Soto in chat, what are the bold predictions for AFC West rankings? I'm not quite sure yet myself, but I'm going to go on a limb and say us second, Chiefs last. It's going to be more and more increasingly difficult for the Chiefs to keep everything together just because they're getting older and they're having to switch out pieces left and right. I can't say the Chiefs are going to go last just because they still have Patrick Mahomes. They still have Andy Reid. The tight end that's going to remain nameless is just not. He's getting older, and it's just not going to be as big of an issue or big as a factor going forward. The NFL is just refusing to punish the players on the Chiefs for doing all kinds of wild business. If you guys didn't know, what's the dude's name? Xavier, what's his name? What's the wide receiver's name? Worthy. Xavier Worthy strangled his chick. Gets arrested. And they're not going to file charges because probably the chick said, drop the charges. So what does that mean? The NFL is probably not going to do anything about it. Look what happened last year. Home dude from the Chiefs got the 5-park pass. He committed 5 felonies at the same time. He was racing on the freeway while drunk, caused a multi-car accident, left the scene, and he had guns. That's like the 5-park pass of like committing crimes. He had, Six Flags, he had Disney, he had Knott's Berry Farm, he had Legoland, and he had Hong Kong from freaking TJ. He had all the passes. And they didn't do anything to him. Rashee Rice he would have played if he didn't hurt his leg, if he didn't hurt his knee, he would have played last year. It's crazy. All right. Good question there. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about your boy, Hummer Renfrow. Rick Rock, third and Renfrow. Okay. Hunter Renfrow is a cautionary tale to NFL teams that are looking to draft a guy that his physical measurables just don't add up to success in the NFL. Now, I'm not saying that Hunter Renfrow wasn't successful, because he was, but you can't put a guy like him in positions that the Raiders did over and over again, because he's gonna get hurt. And that's exactly what happened. What do I mean by that? Stature-wise, he's not that tall. He's like 5'10". He's maybe 185 pounds. He's small-framed even for that. He's not super fast. He's quicker than he is fast. So he can't really get out of the way of things, right? And he's just not as... If you're going to be that small, you better be really fast to be able to be hard to catch. Well, you put Hunter Renfrow as a punt returner because he has sure hands, right? And he's quick and maybe he can get some returns. Well, he's not too fast. He ends up getting obliterated. I don't know how many times he got just absolutely just annihilated on these punt returns. All these hits, they all accumulate, man. And unfortunately, in 2023, he suffered a pretty bad concussion the second game of the year. He got hit in overtime. He fumbled the ball, whatever, got a concussion. Just he missed a few games, came back, really wasn't right. He just was never right after that. It was I can't tell you where I hear this information, but I know some people. Okay, I'm not like Mr. Insider or anything like that, but I talk to people who know some things, and Hunter Renfrow wasn't right after that. He came back because he passed protocol, but just because you pass protocol doesn't mean you're right. And let me tell you something right now. I also have a Hunter Renfrow video that's dropping tomorrow too, so I'm not going to give you too much. But I suffered a severe head injury. Yes, that's what happened to me. That's why I'm that way I am. In 2015, I don't know if sometimes you can tell I slur my words a little bit or I mumble over my words. Well, it's one of the lasting effects from my injury. And it was bad. I had to do, more than 6 months of speech and cognitive therapy, learn how to talk again, learn how to use my memory again. And it was no joke. But to look at me, you wouldn't see that I'd anything wrong with me. That's what's hard about head injuries. It's like it's all going on inside, and you don't have like a cast on your brain. So Hunter Renfrow could have gone out there and played and still not been right. There is a reason why a player who only 2 seasons before had 103 catches for 1,038 yards and 9 touchdowns and made the Pro Bowl 2 years later can't get signed. There's a reason for that. And the reason is he probably didn't want to get signed. He wanted to take the year off, rest his head, and then see where he was. It seems like he's okay to go because he's visiting teams. Now, he's from South Carolina, and he visited the Carolina Panthers first, which is right there. Then he went to Vegas to visit with the Raiders. I think, honestly, here's the thing. If Hunter Renfrow is healthy, and you get him for a cheap deal, maybe the same deal you get Devin White for, $4 million. If you sign him for that much, there's no downside to this. Same with the Devin White deal. You sign him, you see what he has. If he doesn't have it, you cut him and you walk away. I think we owe it to Hunter Renfrow for all that he did for Raider Nation to give him a shot to come back. Because look, the Raiders have always been the island of misfit toys. And if these two guys are misfit toys, I don't know who is. We have a head coach that's older than dirt who got canned 2 years ago, and he was like, blindsided by it. He's coming back trying to show that he's got it. You got a player who was a Super Bowl champion who was dropped by 2 teams in a row, basically, for having a bad attitude, having an ego problem, and not playing well. But he still has great physical tools, Devin White. You got a player who's the exact opposite, no ego, great attitude, tries hard every time, but physically, he got hurt and couldn't play. He wants to come back. Come on in. Let's see what you got. Let's see here. Space Beast. I'm feeling like Spytek gave him a shot, but he didn't sign him. Goes in the Rolodex and we move on. I still love the guy. We'll see, man. I think maybe there was some preliminary medical tests done. That could be it. I don't know. Maybe they want to see him on the field, do some on the field drills. I don't know. What else we got here? Space Beast. Derek, I think Chip Kelly has $6 million invested in roster decisions. You know what Chip is known for? RBBC. Not a one running back guy, FYI. Yeah, he's a running back by committee guy. Here's another thing, too. When it comes to Hunter Renfrow, the reason why Hunter Renfrow and Josh McDaniels didn't mesh, why they didn't vibe, was because Josh McDaniels is very military when it comes to his offense. You need to be exactly where you're supposed to be at the exact right time because I'm telling you, this is going to work if you do it exactly like I tell you. Well, if you guys saw a video that Hunter Renfrow was in an interview and he said that he started to become a better player once he started kind of improvising a little bit. And then John Gruden was okay with it because he was getting open and getting stats. Okay. Those two things are not the same, right? Hunter Renfrow is the kind of, if you notice, if you watch Hunter Renfrow highlight tapes, it's not like he makes his break and the ball's right on him, right? That doesn't happen. He shakes the guy, gets open, and then they throw him the ball once he's already open because is able to beat guys. He's not one of those timing precision, route running guys. He runs great routes, but I doubt that the route is like drawn up the way that he runs it. He's able to finally get open, but it's not like an on time type of thing. So a good thing is in the Chip Kelly offense, he does so much misdirection, does so many screenplays, and he really fools the opposing defense so much with his formations and the way he moves players around. You don't necessarily have to be that precision route runner to be able to be successful in this offense. But you still need to be able to catch the ball, which Hunter Renfrow had a little bit of issue with drops his last season with the Raiders. Maybe that could have been, some lingering effects from his concussion or something like that. Maybe that's why he took that year off. But who knows, man? I wish him the best. I hope he signs with us because I think we can still use him. All right, guys, what else we got up in here? Frank Weber, 707. What's up, baby? How's it going? Al. I see 3 quarterbacks going 1, 2, and 3. Mason to Jags and Pats pick up an O lineman. If quarterbacks go 1, 2, and 3, that means that Travis Hunter is there, Abdul Carter is there, and Mason Graham is there, and Ashton Genty is there. I don't see that any of the 3 quarterbacks that you might be thinking of, which I'm assuming that you're saying it's going to be some version of Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and Jackson Dart. There, in my estimation, from what I've seen in the tape that I've watched, there are only 4 players who were great college players who are in this draft. I'm talking great, played great against great competition, measurables are great, everything's great about them. There's 4. Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, Mason Graham, and Ashton Genty. Those are the 4. And if what you say is correct, 1, 2, and 3 are quarterback, that means number 4 has their choice of those 4 elite players in college. I don't see them not taking one of those 4 elite players because they have holes all over the place, man. It's not just offensive line. They have holes everywhere, and they can use players everywhere. James, what's up, dog? How's it going? NorCal Raiders, CTE. I don't know if Hunter Renfrow has CTE per se. It's kind of early to tell. I think that maybe he might be feeling some effects from the concussions. I'll tell you something right now, man. I get migraines. This is why it's so hard for me to do these videos a lot because I have a ring light right here, and it's really bright, dude, and it really messes with me. So I can see where some of these things really can be lingering, especially when you're still getting hit and you have to make split-second decisions, and it's like it's a lot. So it probably was a great idea for Hunter Renfrow to take a step back away from the NFL, heal up, and then see where he was. Because the dude's got a family now. He's got a wife and kid, dude. Like, come on. He's made a ton of money already. It's just he can just go out there and live in South Carolina, but he wants to play ball, which is great. And we'd be happy to have. I think I would be happy to have him back. Caesar R. No on Travis Hunter. I mean, I don't know where you're coming from that, man. I respect your opinion. I just don't know. I don't know that anyone out there isn't saying that Travis Hunter isn't like an elite, at least an elite cornerback. Let's see here. Kush Mob. I don't remember anyone talking about it unless I just missed it, but who was the one that gave the green light to hire Chip? Brady, Carroll, Spytek, or were all 3 in agreement? Well, I'll tell you something right now. I think that it was brought up mainly by Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll was at SC when Chip Kelly first burst on the scene with Oregon. And I know that they've been friendly this entire time. And with a lot of the turnover happening with Ohio State, and he had the ability to get back into the NFL. I know for a fact Chip Kelly stepped down as coach of UCLA, of the head coach of UCLA, because he didn't want to deal with all the transfer portal nonsense and all this paying guys and all this stuff. He didn't want to deal with that. He just wanted to coach. So that's why he became an offensive coordinator. I don't know that he necessarily wants to do that in the NFL, but he's definitely in line to do it should Pete Carroll leave after a few years. But it all depends on how he does. There's no evidence to show really that he's going to do a bad job. Everywhere he's gone, the offenses have been pretty good. But you have to spend the money you had to spend the money on Chip Kelly because you needed a really good offensive coordinator because Pete Carroll wants to win now. John Spytek wants to win now. Tom Brady wants to win now. What was the big problem last year outside of injury? Because even if everyone was healthy, the offense wasn't even that great. Even if everyone was healthy. So that's really where they wanted to make the big jumps. And you make the big jumps by having a guy that knows what he's doing back there. You had a couple of stiffs in a row. Like Josh McDaniels was a freaking lump of freaking crap. You know, you had Luke Getsy, who wasn't great. You had, the law firm of Turner and Turner, who was just not doing much better. You had a bunch of skip, scaps, and scallywags at quarterback. Got Jimmy G just freaking getting his tip wet left and right in Vegas, not playing on the field very well. It's like you got Hunter Minshew eating his boogers on the sideline. It's like, what the heck are you going to do, man? You got to get better players. Geno is infinitely better than anyone we've had at quarterback for a few years. I think he's better than Derek Carr. That's just me. I think his arm is similar to Derek Carr's. Maybe one's a little bit better than the other, but he's a hell of a lot more mobile. And he doesn't have the happy feet in the pocket like the PTSD that Carr had after he broke his leg. So I think Geno Smith is better. If that's the case, he's the best quarterback we've had in 25 years. If that's the case. So there's an upgrade there. Upgrade at offensive coordinator too, man. That was a big, big issue. I think that it was Pete Carroll brought it to the powers to be about this is what I'm looking for. This is who I want to target. Chip Kelly was a candidate last season to be offensive coordinator. Maybe he just wanted too much money, or I don't know. Maybe he wanted more years. I don't know what happened, but he got a grip to go to Ohio State, and they won a national championship in his first season. Goes to show you, man, Chip Kelly knows what he's doing. All right, what else we got up in here? Henry Standridge, we need the best player available, no reaching. Yeah, I mean, I agree. We need the best. We're a unique team. We have very good players, but they're sprinkled around the team where it's like there's no one like elite group on this team. I think the best group we have is the defensive line, and there's still some questions. Malcolm Kuntz, although I think Malcolm Kuntz is an excellent player, he really only showed it for half a season. We'll see. That's also true, Federo. Chip Kelly wanted to bring in a lot of his offensive coaches, and we all know that AP had like 107 coaches. It's going to be a huge coaching staff. He said, maybe not. Well, maybe you should have not paid so many coaches to do the same thing and given Chip Kelly what he needed, and maybe you'd still be the coach. Alec M, Aloha Nation, aloha. What's up, baby? What's going on, y'all? So we talked about, let's talk about John Spytek. This video's dropping, I believe, on Monday or Tuesday. He did an interview talking about just some of the things that he was doing in the offseason and stuff like that. And I don't want to give away too much of the video, but he pretty much said that he admitted that he was looking for quarterbacks left and right in the trade market. So I don't know that his comfort level with any of the quarterbacks on the roster is very high. I think Aiden O'Connell has stuck around because he did show some promise, and he did have a pretty rough hand dealt to him the first few seasons of his career. Also, He's cheap. He's on a rookie contract, right? But he said in the interview that Geno Smith was too hard, is a deal that he couldn't pass up, and that he was the best deal for the best quarterback out of all the quarterbacks he was looking into. So he was looking at a lot of quarterbacks. So I don't know that there ever was an inkling to you have to take a quarterback in the first round. I think they were at Spytek and crew were from the beginning looking to get a veteran quarterback in there to start right away. That's one of the things. Another thing is he called Alex Kappa a starting center, or excuse me, a starting guard. So that goes to show you right now the offensive line is Colton Miller. I'm assuming it's going to be Dylan Parham because he played better on the left side. JPJ in the center. You got Alex Kappa at the other right guard, and then you have DJ Glaze at the right tackle. I'm assuming that's what it's penciled in right now. If that's the case, not terrible. I think it's okay, but we still could, I think, one or two more guys in the offensive line. Kevin Lurker, what's up? What do I think of Jalen Walker? I think Jalen Walker's a stud, dude. I think Jalen Walker's a freaking stud. I think he can play end. I think he can play linebacker. I think he can do a lot. I think Jalen Walker is a guy that he has a unique blend of size, speed, and explosion, which tells me that, I mean, he's technically a linebacker, but he can play edge as well. He's only 6'2", but I mean, when you're that fast and that strong, you don't have to be much bigger than 245 to play around the edge. So I like Jalen Walker very much. I think Jalen Walker is going to go in the first half of the first round for sure. I think he's a really good player. And the Georgia just knows how to crank out these freaking linebackers, dude. Jalen Walker's, I think he's an excellent player. Excellent. Was Matt Flynn better than AOC? Matt Flynn had a better stats than AOC. I mean, maybe that was because he had a better team around him with Green Bay, but I don't know. I think it's pretty close. Yeah, that was when Matt Flynn got that big contract. It was his last season in Green Bay, and I believe that's when Aaron Rodgers got that concussion injury. He got hurt somehow and couldn't play, and Matt Flynn took over that season, and he won a bunch of games, showed that he can win games. So I think it's a pretty comparable, it's hard to compare the two guys simply because AOC's team that was around him was not very good at all. And he had a really incompetent coaching as well. So it's hard to say, yeah, this, you go from Mike McCarthy, who Flynn had as the coach and offensive coordinator, who's miles ahead of who we've had for Aiden O'Connell. So I think it's a pretty decent comp though. Didn't Flynn have a 5 TD, 400-yard game as a Packer? No, yeah, he had a lot of big games with the Packers. He was like a gunslinger. It just so happened that a lot of it was the offense he was in, the players that played around him in Green Bay. What else are we talking about, guys? What else we got? You guys ain't got any other prospects you want me to talk about? Just keep it about prospects that we know, all right? I know Kevin. I think Kevin Lurker. I think you were thinking that I was talking about you when I was like talking about people giving me people to like players to look at. No, dude, it's not you. You've given me some decent players to look at. There are these guys that are like, oh yeah, this guy played at this FCS school down the road from me. Can check him out. And I look at him and he's like, dude, that guy didn't even start on the FCS team. And you want me to freaking get fine tape on this guy? No, dude, I'm not doing that. Kevin, it wasn't you, dude. There's been a lot of guys who have been like giving me a lot of these names, and I look at their names and I'm like, this dude, no, what are you giving me here? No, it wasn't you, Kevin. Ted McMillan. Oh man, Ted McMillan is gifted physically. The size, speed, explosion, hands, route running ability, that's all great. The way he can make people miss, the way he's hard to bring down in the open field, that's great. He was late to football. I'm not going to say too much because I have a video coming out. But how much does he love football? Because I'll tell you something right now. Ask Michael Vick. As high as he reached with just his physical ability, one of his biggest regrets in life, other than fighting dogs, was that he didn't study enough, that he didn't put enough time in to be the best player he could be. I'll tell you something right now. That is not going to fly with Pete Carroll. That is not going to fly with Spytek. That's definitely not going to fly with Chip Kelly or Tom Brady. That's just not going to fly. You got to be a student of the game, and you can be as gifted as you want. If you're not prepared, not going to be good for you. The Ohio running backs in Scatterbo. Well, look, Scatterbo is an interesting prospect. He's the first running back in college to have 1,500 rushing yards and 500 receiving yards in the same season. He also passed the ball a few times. He also put the ball on the ground a few times. I like him. I like him a lot. But he's not a workhorse back in the NFL. I think he's a guy that's going to come in here and be a gadget guy at first. He needs to find his niche in the NFL. He's not going to be a guy that you can just strap an entire running back game on his back and say, okay, you're the guy the whole game. It's not who he is. As far as the Ohio running backs, I like both of the Ohio State running backs, dude. I like them both. I think Javon Henderson and Quinshon Judkins are excellent. They're very different running backs, very different. Henderson's more of a shiftier guy, quicker guy, and Judkins is just a thumper. He's a hammer. He reminds me of Beast Mode. He reminds me of Marshawn Lynch. They're like, as you look at their measurables, they're almost exactly the same guy, and they play alike too. But one thing that I would say about Quinshon Judkins is, like, coming out of like the package, right? Coming out of college to the NFL, he has receiving skills like Marshawn Lynch ended up getting later in his career. Judkins has them right now, which is a big plus, especially in a Chip Kelly system. Alec, Trey Amos, cornerback, very nice mid-rounds guy. I think there's a lot of guys in the mid-rounds, dude. A lot of guys there. James Marshall Jr. from Florida is good. Ja Frazier is good. You have to take a look at something right now. If you're going to play corner for Pete Carroll, you got to be 6 foot plus. You got to have long arms, and you got to be able to play a press man or a bump and run. You got to be able to play in tight man to man. You got to be able to play that. If you can't do that, you can't play for Pete Carroll. The measurables, like, we see the blueprint of what he's looking for. Matthew Golden, Jaden Higgins. Oof. Those are good. Both of them are very good. I like Jaden Higgins very much. I think there's Jaden Higgins. There's that kid from TCU, Savion Williams. The measurables are through the roof. 6'4", 6'5" guys, 220, fast, good hands. Well, Savion Williams needs to work on his hands, but good route running at least. Golden is just a freaking burner, dude. 4.2 change, right? 4.3. Is that what it was? 4.29, something like that. Ooh, that's insane, dude. Super fast. Tyson Hughes, yeah, baby. Come on, hit these likes. Everyone, it's very simple, and it's absolutely free. It's free to do. Hit that like button. Comment just to say hi. Say that you're here. Also, you wanted to share this on your socials. Hit that share button. Share it, like, hey, I'm listening to this right now. Come on in and check it out, nation. There's that. Subscribe. If you're watching me live, you might as well subscribe. Everyone's doing it. It's like the thing to do is subscribe to Raiders versus the World. Whether you like it or whether you don't like it, learn to love it, because Raiders versus the World is the best thing going today. Tell your friends, tell your haters, tell your mamas, tell everybody. Tell your mama's friends, your haters' mamas, and your mama's haters. Everybody. Could Judkins be a second round guy? Well, I think that would be a little bit of a stretch in the second round. But I mean, nothing's impossible. I saw us taking him in the third round, which is only 5 or 6, 5 or 6 picks past the second round. So is it possible? Sure. Because look, guys, the way this works here is there's like the top 10 players are like the top 10. Maybe one guy floats in and out, whatever. But there's like the top 10 prospects in a draft class, right? From 11 to like 50, right? From 11 to like the middle of the second round. Those are kind of like, what's your flavor? You can go 20, you can go 40. It doesn't matter. It's like, what do you like? Then there's like 51 to like maybe 100-ish or so. Those are the same thing. What's your flavor? You can go third round, you can go fourth round, you can go end of second, you can go end of third. It's just how you're graded from that specific team. And the rest of it's just a crapshoot. Once you get into like the fourth round, middle of the fourth round, fifth round, it's like, okay, what the heck? What are we doing here? Space Beast, I think running backs will drop more than we expect. I think it's possible. I think it's possible because once you get past the first few running backs, dude, they're all pretty much the same, bro. Right? Unless you really fall in love with one guy, there's a lot of these guys. There's like 25 draftable running, 30 even draftable running backs out there. A lot. It's a lot. So why are you going to spend a pick when you can get a guy just as good in 2 rounds later? That you have a great that's just as good, that you have a great. Forget what the big boards, forget what any of those people say. The teams, if the teams have these grades on these guys, if this guy grades out just as good as another guy that's going to be taken right now, you know what? I'll take the other guy in a couple of rounds. Give me the guy that I can get now. My top offensive lineman, Mimbo. Yeah, he's my top one. I like him a lot. I just think he's probably one of the best offensive line prospects athletically that we've seen in quite some time. One of the things that we need to look at here is there's Membu, there's Campbell, and I think Banks. Look, if Simmons was healthy, he'd be the top guy. Okay? I think. But Membo is just, dude, he's good, dude. He's freaking good. He's really good. I think Will Campbell's not close behind. I think Kelvin Banks had a rough season last season, but I think he's really good and he's got all the measurables. After that, you're going to have a lot of guys out there. They're just, I mean, look, there's the Gray Zables out there, the Wyatt Millums out there, the Josh Connollys, like, a lot of guys. There's a lot. Take a look at like Tyler Booker, the guard from Alabama. That guy's a stud. Excuse me. Oh, it's a lot of guys, dude. Like Charles Grant. We talked about Charles Grant from William & Mary. That guy's just shooting up draft boards left and right. A lot of guys out there, man. But once you get past the top 3 or 4, look, for me, running back, offensive line, defensive line, wide receiver, there's a couple of like elite guys out there. And then after that, you kind of much plateau. And there's a lot of guys that are pretty much the same. So maybe it's not like as top heavy as some drafts have been. There's a lot of depth to these position groups. You can get a lot of good players late. Space Beast. Here's last year's running back selections before Bucky. Jordan Brooks, Trey Benson, Blake Corum, Marshawn Lloyd, Bucky Irving. Yeah. You can get some guys late. I like Bucky Irving coming out of Oregon. I don't know why we didn't get him, but we didn't. They're all good running backs, 20 deep. Pick your flavor. Yeah, man. Once you get past like Henderson or Judkins, it's pretty much what's your flavor, dude. Dude, Ollie Gordon, if he would have come out last year, he probably would have been a second round pick. Now he's like going to be a fifth round pick. You know, it's like, dude, what the? He got that much worse in a year? I don't think so. That's one of the reasons why I was still kind of pretty pumped about Devin White. The talent is still there. It's just kind of getting his head right. You know, if you can't look, if you're Devin White and you can't play for Uncle Pete, it's you. It's not the league. It's not Uncle Pete. It's not PG Patrick Graham. It's you. I think that we're going to wrap arms around him. I think a lot of the veterans, the Landon Roberts of the room, the Maxx Crosby's, they're going to go up to him and say, "Look, man, I don't care what happened in the past, bro. You're here now, and we're trying to win now. None of that stuff that happened in the past, good or bad, I don't care about the ring you won. I don't care about all these things you did in the playoffs or in the Super Bowl. Doesn't matter to me. It matters to me what you do right now. You're part of the nation now. Okay, what are you going to do now? What have you done for me lately? Bum, 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 bum. Who's available in running back and free agency? Well, we already got a free agency running back. I really like the Mostert signing. Mostert was hurt last season. 2 seasons ago, he had 21 touchdowns, bro. 21 touchdowns. Last season, he had a fracture in his sternum that it just didn't heal because he kept getting hit. I fractured my sternum once. That shit was, fuck, I couldn't even take a deep breath. I like LaQuint Allen Jr. from Syracuse. Yeah, that guy's good, man. There's that kid, also that guy from Minnesota, I think. There's another guy. There's that guy from Oregon. What's that fucker's name? Jordan James. That's good, dude. A lot of good guys out here. Mel Kiper's a fraud. Look, man. I like Mel Kiper, dude. Mel Kiper's a pioneer. I think that Mel Kiper does things now more as a personality. His real good content is on draft day. All the stuff he's doing now is just content creation. It's all he's using his name and he's just trying to I don't know, dude. But you have to understand, it's really difficult when you're talking about the draft, and that's all you talk about is the draft. I do Raider content, but I don't just talk about the draft. I talk about the team. I talk about old players, new players, the executives. I talk about free agents, stuff like that. So I talk about more stuff. He's only talking about the draft, and it's like almost 3 months long of him talking about the same things over and over again. Yeah, he has to be a little bit wishy-washy because then it's just the same content over and over again. I'm going to cut him a little bit of slack. I don't think he's a fraud, but I definitely know where you're coming from when you say that, for sure. Caleb Johnson and Giddens are special backs. Caleb Johnson, I like him very much. That 4.57 40 did not do him any favors, though, bruh. Did not do him any favors. I'll tell you something right now, because when you're in this deep of a running back class and you run a 4.57 40, that's tough, dude. Because when you got guys like Jordan James out of Oregon running a 4.39, whoo, yeah, I'm telling you, when we're talking, what did I say? When you have running backs that are graded similar, right? Maybe you don't take that guy that runs a 4.5, even though he may be a better player, because you got a guy that's, just as good, maybe not as quite as good, but pretty close, that runs a lot faster. That really hurt him, man. He didn't play like he ran a 4.57, but damn, a 4.57, dude, that's tough, bro. That's super tough. And I don't know how that's going to play, because we need speed. Space Beast, did you read in my mind or something? I was just going to say that. We need speed on this offense, man. We do need speed on the offense. And we need guys that, because look, Chip Kelly, when he was at his best at Oregon, was all about speed, getting the ball out in space, getting players in the position to make plays. And I don't know that Caleb Johnson really fits that bill, if I'm being completely honest. I like him a lot. I like him. I like the player. I think he can do really well. But it's just, it's a different offense than what he ran in Iowa. Iowa was like, dude, we're going to run this formation. You know, we're going to run the ball. We're going to give it to our guy, and we're just going to crack you with our offensive line. I don't know. Mike Rain, do the Raiders bring in Lockett or draft someone? I think Lockett wants too much money. I think what Lockett's going to try to do is wait until after the draft and see if he can hang on and jump onto a team there. I really do think Lockett wants more money than we're willing to give a veteran. I think we have a dollar amount slotted for that veteran wide receiver spot. And I think Lockett's a little bit priced himself a little bit out of that. I think we're going to draft someone, of course, and I think we may even sign Hunter Renfrow. We talked about that earlier. But I have a video coming up about that. Have I done a deep dive into Emeka Egbuka? Yes. Emeka Egbuka is an excellent receiver. I think he may drop a little bit because, look, not because he's bad or anything, okay? But you have Golden, who was rated below Egbuka, now run that 4.29 or 4.28, whatever it was, 40. That put him up. You still got Ted McMillan up there. You got Luther Burden up there. So he may drop a little bit. Plus, a lot of those teams that are going to be in the later part of the first round, those guys don't need really a receiver. They need more line help, defensive help, stuff like that. So it could be where Egbuka can slide down to us in round 2, which would be great. I think the guy's amazing. He's an amazing player. But it's possible. Yeah, bro, that 4.57 really hurt him, dude. Because like he didn't play slow, but you could tell he didn't have that pop. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, when you see that pop, when a guy just pops into gear, he didn't show that in college, and you see that 4.57, you're like, bruh, that's a tough one, dude. All right, guys, I did over an hour. That's all I got left for you. I really appreciate your time, guys. You know I always do. It's just us, man. We're a grassroots, groundswell thing here. If you haven't done so already, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. It's a great way for you to support this channel. It's absolutely free to subscribe, and it's the bare minimum you can do to support this channel besides doing absolutely nothing and just watching the video, which, of course, I always do appreciate. If you watched this before, if you're on live for the first time, go ahead and subscribe, man. It's the thing to do. All the kids are doing it, and it's the best thing going today. So you might as well get on board, Raider Nation, for the best thing going in Raider Nation right now. All right, guys. I appreciate you. Until next time, everybody. Peace.